On the 18th of March 2023, two of South Africa's most well-known liquidators, father and son team, Thomas and Cloete Murray, would be assassinated in broad daylight on the N1 on their way to Pretoria. Now, Thomas Murray would pass away immediately at the scene, and Cloete Murray would remain in that realm between life and death until the early hours of the next morning, till around 5 a.m. when he would pass away. You see, just 9 bullets had been fired into the car, but they had been fired expertly, and the damage done to his body was just too much, and he passed on to the next world. Today we are talking about the links between the Singhs as well as their companies, which stretch to the higher echelons of not just our government, but perhaps the governments of another country, another African country. So get your favorite beverage because we are getting into it. So we got to start off with what has come out from News 24 today. And a lot of this reporting is based on Kyle Cowan's reporting from News 24. He has done a much better job than the police has done on this case. And what I have seen is probably one of the most botched investigations in recent memory, because according to reports that I've read, key suspects were never interviewed, even though there are clear footage of them on CCTV driving the alleged car that was used in the assassination to assassinate the Murrays, as well as the wrong vehicle was examined. The critical CCTV footage was not subpoenaed, as well as a cell phone that was given to the family, right? There have been reports about that there's a new investigating officer assigned, and the investigating officer did not even know that cell phone had already been seized in the police's possession and was downloaded, and that there's a lot of infighting that removed Hawks officers from the dockets. And we're going to see something interesting here, because there are some names that have appeared with regards to this investigation, specifically that this investigation was allegedly led by old channel favorite, Liar Liar Pants on Fire, Shadrack Sibiya, as well as head of the Hawks, Richard Shibiri. Remember Richard Shibiri, who allegedly called witness A and B into his office and said there are 3 envelopes, one for the prosecutor, one for the magistrate, and one for them? Well, they were involved in leading the investigation on their case, and the investigating officer on this case was also the investigating officer on Singh's case. So there might be some conflict of interest there, I don't know, but we're going to get into it. So today we learned that after 2 years of investigation, that this case has to be essentially investigated from the beginning. And everything points back to a web of liquidations, fake bank guarantees, missing supercars, and a trail of government contracts stretching from Pretoria to Ghana. This is the full story. Cloete Murray had the bigger reputation in the industry. He was known for being involved in several political sensitive inquiries. He had just sat that week for a Bosasa 417 inquiry. So a 417 inquiry is a very powerful form of inquiry. And when you sit there, you have to answer questions truthfully, even if they incriminate you. And you cannot lie. And there's no pleading the fifth like the Americans do. And allegedly names were dropped in that inquiry that were implicated high-ranking ANC witnesses. And he was also busy coming down with the winding down of Trillian. So Trillian is a Gupta-linked company that was paid around 600 million rand by Eskom. And we know that this taxpayer money did not go towards what it was supposed to. It was ransacked by the Guptas. And SARS was also pursuing money related to this company. Now, interesting enough, Trillian Company, right, has been implicated, the CEO has been implicated with someone who was running Transnet, a certain Brian Malefe, who is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, while he was doing this, Cloete Murray was a very busy man. He was also liquidating Business Innovations Group. So this is otherwise known as Bing. So this is a Singh-owned company. The Singhs are going to become very important here. It's Rushal and Nashari Singh, and they're going to become very important here because what has happened essentially here is that Cloete Murray starts liquidating their company in November 2022. And then they have another company. And this is the company that his son, Thomas Murray, starts liquidating just that week, right? So we don't know if Thomas Murray was the target, but we're going to get into it now. So I want you to remember about the Singhs. The Singhs have a bunch of companies, and one of them is Business Innovations Group. Now, Business Innovations Group is linked to various Ghanaian infrastructure contracts. They were paid a large amount of money by the Ghanaian government in order to do road rehabilitation, fix sinkholes and hospitals, and some storm drains. But there are allegations that instead of using that money to develop the Ghanaian infrastructure, the money went instead to luxury supercars, sustaining their lifestyle, 160 million rand property in Botched. These are amounts of money that the average person like you or me cannot comprehend. And when BIG collapsed in November 2022, Cloete and Murray was known as someone who hit the ground running. He secured all the emails, all the documents, and he was quick to secure all these luxury things such as cars and goods, because I think he knew that it's something that you can offload really quickly, and he was known for getting investors their money back. And like I say on my channel, if you listen to me often about scams, oftentimes you only get cents on the rands back. But Cloete and Murray was known for squeezing that stone, squeezing water out of stone in order to get as much as he could for the companies that he was liquidating. And the directors of that company, Rushal and Nishani Singh. Nishani Singh is no longer with us. She died in hospital in October 2024. Cause unknown. But they faced charges of fraud, forgery, and usury. Now, Rushal Singh is actually currently being tried for these charges, and he hasn't held back. I mean, he blamed his sister for everything that I've read. He said she's the one that did all the forgery, not him, but she's dead. She can't defend herself. There's no love lost between these siblings, and so he's essentially blaming his sister as his defense now in courts, but he is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, they are accused of allegedly falsifying bank guarantees to secure 178 million rand loan with Investec. So the original guarantee that they got from Stanbic Bank in Ghana, and that was a proper guarantee, and that was linked to their Ghanaian company, GIC. Shani sent Investec a guarantee from Stanbic Bank in Ghana for 20 million rand in the name of their Ghanaian company, GIC. Now, this guarantee contained a clause that said that the guarantee only became active once GIC, that Ghanaian company of theirs, had a credit of 20 million rand in the account. Now, Investec wouldn't give them the loan, obviously, because, there's no security for it. So what they allegedly did is that they edited this document to remove that clause about that a guarantee only being active if that 20 million rand was in that GIC account. And they used this bank guarantee to get allegedly a loan from Investec for 178 million rand, as well as they used it again later on to get another loan of allegedly 150 million rand. So this is huge amounts of money that is happening and being thrown around here. Now, what News 24 has managed to find out is that about 120 million rand of that money went towards cars, 100 million rand in cars that has since disappeared. We don't know where they are. And that the loans were also used to sustain the Singh's luxury lifestyle, that between 2015 and 2019, the Ghanaian government paid them 340 million rand for infrastructure that was possibly not delivered. Now, according to this, how did they get these contracts? Well, according to News 24, who traced the payments, these payments, the Singhs allegedly made payments to two prominent figures in the Ghanaian government, specifically Kwabena Awushu Adomi for the Deputy Minister of Roads, as well as Haruna Odriso, who is a former MP and minister. Now, money was associated either with them or political causes linked to them and away from the construction site. Now, Rushal has been blaming his dead sister in court for this, which I think is very interesting because she can't defend herself. But there we go. Now we have to go to the 18th of March when the Cloetes were murdered. So at 11 o'clock, Cloete and Thomas Murray, so Cloete is the dad and Thomas is the son, they leave their Pretoria office. Now, Cloete wasn't even supposed to go that day. So we don't know if he was the target, but we also don't know if the people who assassinated them were receiving updated information from people. And at 11:40, they meet the Singhs at the Melrose Arch luxury apartment. There's an auctioneer there. It's a 10 million rand apartment. And It is owned by i2 Infinite Solutions, that second company of the Singhs. So now Cloete and Murray has already been liquidating Big, the first company of theirs, in November. And now it's March the following year, and they are liquidating i2 Innovative Solutions, which is their holding company. So I don't know if these things are probably not very happy with the Murray father and son. Now, what the liquidators do is that they change the lots, they gather documents, and they begin preparing the properties for auction. They also seize several rare McLarens, and at around 12:17, their location is still confirmed to be in Melrose Arch, and then at 1:45, they are seen leaving. Now, this will be the last 15 minutes of their lives. Now, they're heading back to their office in Pretoria, and they're driving along the N1. This is broad daylight. And at around 2 o'clock, just after the new road off-ramp on the N1 North, a white Ford Ranger pulls alongside their Toyota Prado. 9 shots ring into the air. They are apparently expertly fired. And like I said, Thomas Murray is immediately killed, while Cloete Murray, he is still alive, but the damage that was done to his body was just so severe, he couldn't survive for much longer, and he passed away the following morning. And inside the vehicle, files pertaining to the deeds records tied to i2's properties are left there and never allegedly collected by police. This is how bad this investigation was. It was completely botched. Now, according to reports, police examined the wrong Ford Ranger because we know News 24 was able to get access to that CCTV footage.
Police are examining a double cab Ford Ranger Bucky they believe was used in the murders of Cloete and Thomas Murray on the 18th of March 2023. The vehicle now being examined by police was part of a major car Ponzi scheme, A&A dealings. The car was bought by an owner and then taken by the scheme to be rented out to other members of the Ponzi scheme. The vehicle used to kill Cloete and Thomas Murray was a white double cab Ford Ranger, a 2022 model, with black rims, silver mirror covers, and a silver grille. If you look closely, you will see on the rear window an Eastvale Motors sticker on the vehicle that is now being examined by police. But looking at Sunroll CCTV images from the day of the murders, you won't see the sticker there. Our investigation has focused on granular detail to try and show that these two vehicles are the same or are not. The vehicle in question was recovered in September 2024, but up until now, these forensic examinations have not happened. Although the two vehicles look extremely similar, only a much closer examination shows that these are actually two different cars. I've been investigating this story since the 19th of March 2023, the morning after Cloete and Thomas were killed. We've been able to show that crucial evidence was left behind in the car Cloete and Thomas were driving in on the day they were killed. We've also been able to show that a key suspect, Ryan Barwell, who was believed to be driving the Ford Ranger on the day, still has not been questioned more than 2 years on.
Showing the Murrays being stalked. So the Murrays were essentially stalked from Melrose Arch onto the highway by a Ford Ranger double cab. And in this Ford Ranger, there are allegedly 3 people. And one of them has just been killed on the 1st of October. We don't know who the third one is. And the other person has been identified by News 24 independently. And he has links to the Singhs as well as to the underworld, which we're going to get into later. Now, according to News 24, police seized and examined the wrong Ford Ranger double cab. And this is important because these cars, especially the newer ones, you can download them. You have access to their systems, perhaps where they were. And this just shows you how bad this investigation was. And we know that there is someone who is very prominently identified in that Ford Ranger. And this name, he is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. He is named by News 24 as Ryan Barwell. And within the hours of the attack, it is said that he visited Melrose Arch and that he is seen on the boom gate leaving in that Ford Ranger. Like I said, he's apparently easy identifiable. And they captured a clear image of him. And they also captured images of this Ford Ranger along the highway, stalking the Cloetes. So this is how this vehicle was linked. And despite that, he has apparently not been interviewed, or he has only been interviewed recently. There's no subpoena that was issued, and he has still not been arrested. And we know that Barwell is connected to the Singhs. He is connected to Rochelle and Nishani Singh, and they are also connected to underworld figures. He was formerly employed at a BMW Santon Auto, giving him access to high-profile clients. He's involved in the supercar industry. And Barwell allegedly told News 24 that he goes to Melrose Arch all the time, not too sure why he was there that day, and that he had rented the Ranger from a friend who he refused to identify, and he didn't know that he was a person of interest in this case. Now, we have 2 additional suspects in this case, the front passenger and the rear passenger, but none of them were ever questioned. Now, this investigation was led by Brigadier Pulana Gupane, and problems began with this investigation immediately because she allegedly refused to meet with the family due to the family's criticism of her investigation, failure to secure the CCTV footage, months of delay in examining the vehicle, and when they did examine the vehicle, they allegedly examined the wrong one. No interview of key suspects, and they had Hawks officers removed from infighting. So evidence was lost, evidence was ignored. Remember that file was left in the backseat of the car, it was never collected that we know of, and evidence was misfiled. So we got to talk about who was in charge, right, of Brigadier Gupane, because allegedly in charge of her was Major General Richard Shibiri. Remember him, head of organized crime, to witness A and B when he called them into his office. He said there's one envelope for the investigating officer. There is one envelope for the investigating officers, one for the prosecutor, and one for the magistrate. So, and who was overseeing him was Liar Pants on Fire, no stranger to this channel, Shadrack Sibiya. So there was little progress made on this case. The case stalled, the officers rotated, and focus drifted. Meanwhile, a crucial suspect in the case, Rochelle Singh, was arrested and was granted 10,000 Rand bail on the 19th of January 2024. He was later put back in prison, and now he is currently standing trial. Now, pressure has mounted as more bodies have appeared. Like I said, the Madlanga Commission is shaking a tree and bodies are falling out. We have Bob Kanikak, insolvency attorney, was murdered 2 months ago. We have Bernard Hermanus. Bernard Hermanus was a suspect in the Murray case. He was shot dead at Mill Park Hospital on the 1st of October 2025. He was visiting a friend in the hospital and people shot him in the parking lot in broad daylight. Now, both of these are now being investigated by the same team under General Khumalo. Now, there is some progress that is being made in these cases because on the 23rd of October 2025, the National Commissioner reassigned the docket to Major General Mbusu Khumalo, and his immediate actions were to subpoena the cell phone data, collect the CCTV, re-examine the tie docket. They essentially have to start from scratch, investigate the prior botching, as well as reopen suspicious associated deaths. For this first time in a long time, this case has some momentum. Now, this case isn't just about one murder. It is about state capture. It's about international corruption, luxury asset laundering, government contract kickbacks, financial manipulation, and the assassination of those who tried to expose it. Liquidators often do get a bad rep because of the way in which they take down companies, but they are essentially the last defense between business corruption and criminal collapse. And they end up executed on highways. The message to whistleblowers is deafening. Stay quiet, stay silent, don't stand up, don't hit the ground running like Cloete and Murray did. But General Khumalo's investigation of the final investigation may reveal who ordered the hit, who pulled the trigger, who funded the vehicle trail, and who wanted the Murrays gone. Until then, justice is delayed, evidence is scattered, and South Africa waits. So let me know what you think of this case. Do you believe the masterminds will ever be charged? I'll be following the investigation and updates will emerge.